Hi, I'm Bami Boneye, founder of the Bami Boneye Research Foundation. Did you know that I used to be a sleuth? To this day, nothing makes me happier than having a hard mystery to dedicate all of my attention to. I guess, in that way, sleuthing has always been in my nature. I hadn't solved a mystery since my literacy forward Mystery of the Week television show was canceled in the 90s, and I wasn't planning to return to the field without significant compensation. However, just last year, I received correspondence from a dear friend who I didn't remember, inviting me to her lavish week-long birthday party bender in her family's extravagant English countryside estate. Her name was Victorina Winthrop, and she was a famous British socialite who, years prior, had come to the Bami Boneye Research Foundation to study modeling and cocaine therapy. We bonded over being thin and feminine and rich, and we promised to keep in touch once she graduated. I hadn't seen her since the last time I saw her, so I was excited to rekindle our friendship because, even though I didn't remember her, she was very rich, and I love old money, as well as playing hide and seek in elegant places. A storm raged over Winthrop Manor upon my arrival. Just the sprint from the taxi to the grand front door alone left me completely drenched. I rang the doorbell and waited, nips blaring, expecting to be greeted by the bubbly sweetheart I didn't remember. I anticipated a familiar sorority sister feeling between the two of us, maybe even a lesbian kiss, but only for attention from boys. Alas, the door opened and I wasn't sure what I was looking at. After giving the androgynous butler the once-over, I asked, "How do I respect you?"
My name is Watslade, and my pronouns are they, them. Please, come inside.
The spooky non-binary butler led me into the warm, rich, and sophisticated Winthrop Manor. I was totally in my element. Victorina even had a milfish maid in a French-maid uniform.
Mrs. Milken will escort you to the lounge for cocktails with the other guests while I get your bags.
"Oh, you're not coming," I said. I was just teasing. Walking down the grand hallway, I marveled at the historical portraiture and priceless heirlooms. I began to manifest that somehow I could own all of it, and that it would belong to me and no one else. Even the people would become my possessions. "I love your uniform," I told Mrs. Milken. "Yeah, I only get to wear it for parties there, and we haven't had a proper party in months lately, which is a real shame because Victorina can throw a real rager, you know. Of course, I'm on the clock, but if no one notices if I get off me head, if everyone else is chuffed off to bits having a good time, you know what I mean?" "Yeah," I lied. "It is kind of quite for a party." We arrived at the parlor, and I was so perplexed at the random mix of only 5 guests. Why would Victorina think I'd want to be here? Even worse, it looked like they all knew each other, and that I didn't know anyone. Except Victorina. She looked exquisite in a red, slinky, gorgeous evening gown. "Victorina, you look beautiful," I said, peppering her with kisses, the way Europeans do. "You have not aged a day. You look stunning. Just how I remembered you. Girl, I have missed you so much. So much. Seriously? So much." "Dear boy, I'm not Victorina," she replied. "I'm Miss Ruby, her girlfriend." "Oh, and I bet you're a good one." I scanned the room. The only other woman was significantly older, but dressed very posh, very smart. "Are you Victorina?" "No, dear boy. I'm Dr. Beatrice Babcock. I'm not a lesbian. I'm actually very happily married. My husband would be here, he would, but he was stuck late performing a surgery. And with this storm, I'm worried about my husband." Okay. So I looked at the men. "Did any of you used to be Victorina?" It was a fair question. I didn't know who the hell I was looking for.
"No, dear boy,"
said a beefy old man wearing an impressive variety of military medals.
"Victorina isn't here yet. We've been waiting for her, and I suppose for you too. Captain Buster, dear boy."
Before I could address the dear boy thing I was starting to notice, Captain Buster took my hand and gave me one of those unnecessarily strong, squeezing handshakes. "Ow!" I said, pulling away from him. "You psycho!" "Dear boy, are you all right?" Dr. Babcock said. "Why is everybody calling me dear boy? I have a name." "You're Bami Boneye, the movie star." My salvation. A fellow homosexual. And a twink to boot. "My name is Mr. H.B. I'm a huge fan of yours." "Mr. H.B. Yes, sir. George H.B. G.H.B. Thank you, Mr. G.H.B. Now go pour me some shots. Travel was a nightmare.
"Attaboy, Mr. Boneye. I do say it's about time we get the festivities started."
Oh, please, call me Bami. Everybody does. Do you have tequila? No, we're British. Oh, well, then some sort of fruity vodka thing. That's when I noticed him. Immediately I recognized the gentle sneer resting beneath his thin mustache and the casual disdain in his gaze. There was a Frenchman in the room, and a Frenchman inevitably meant French kissing. "Bonjour, Monsieur Boneye," he said. "I am Professor Aubergine from the university." The storm raged outside as the group got to know each other, constantly looking at the doorway for Victorina to finally make her entrance. Eventually, I proved too charming and entertaining, and we forgot about her while having a good song and dance. Suddenly, lightning flashed and the electricity went out. We looked around the firelit darkness as thunder crashed. When the lights came back on, Wadslode stood in the doorway.
"If you will follow me to the dining room, dinner is served,"
they them announced. When we approached the grand dining room, Mrs. Milken was pouring the dinner wine. The storm raged so severely that the lights flickered again. I pulled Miss Ruby's seat out for her, while Professor Aubergine and Colonel Buster fought over who got to pull out mine for me. That's not important, I just wanted you to know. "Mrs. Milken, where is Victorina? Isn't she attending her own dinner?" "Yes, Mom, she said she'd be right down." Dr. Babcock clutched her pearls as Mrs. Milken poured her wine. "Oh my, with all these festivities, I'm feeling a bit off my noggin. Mrs. Milken, could you make me a cup of tea, please? I need a cup of tea to calm my mind." "Oh, a cup of tea sounds lovely." "A cup of tea is crucial right now, Mrs. Milken."
"I think a cup of tea sounds lovely. How about you, Bami? Would you like a cup of tea?"
These teabagging Brits were starting to piss me off, so I just buried my head in my hands. "Oh yeah, he needs a cup of tea. I'll bring him a cup of tea too." "Mrs. Milken," a new voice said, "I'd love a cup of tea too." Victorina looked toasted, but gorgeous. She had a boozy swagger in her walk as she approached the table and greeted Miss Ruby with a kiss. I couldn't help but smile seeing two lipstick lesbians show affection. I also noticed Colonel Buster smile too, which I found disturbing because he's literally her uncle. Overall, the entire energy of the room shifted with Victorina's entrance. Professor Aubergine's hand, which had been resting on my thigh, tensed. The fact that I knew Victorina the least suddenly became very pertinent. "Bami Boneye," she smiled upon seeing me. "It's so wonderful to see you again. Thank you for coming." "Thank you for inviting him," Mr. G.H.B. said as Mrs. Milken returned with the tea. Victorina went to her seat and picked up her wine glass to toast. "To Bami Boneye. Your presence is a gift. And that's why we call it the present." Everyone except Dr. Babcock, who was drinking her tea, raised their glasses and took a sip of wine. Victorina downed hers in one gulp, and while I thought her toast was over, she picked up Dr. Babcock's glass and continued. "Tonight is about truth, about family, fortune. I've made my decision." What decision? I genuinely didn't know. But before she could explain, the lights went out. Aside from the faint candlelight, we were in complete darkness. This was apparently a huge turn-on for Professor Aubergine, who tried to get stuff started under the table. A loud crash tore through the room, prompting screams and unseen chaos. I tried to stand, but the handsy Frenchman pulled me onto his lap for some bump and grind in the dark. When the power returned, the professor had shot his load in his slacks, and poor Victorina laid slump at the head of the table in a pool of shattered glass. A faint chemical scent lingered in the air. Miss Ruby began screaming and had to be restrained by Colonel Buster and the professor. Dr. Babcock checked Victorina's pulse. She's dead. In addition to my expertise as a sleuth, I received countless citations for insurrection and perverting the course of justice. So I knew how to take control of the situation. All right, everyone, from here on out, you will all refer to me as Inspector Boneye, and I'm on the case. The storm has downed the phone lines and blocked the roads. The mansion was locked from the inside, so that means only one thing. Somebody at this table is a killer, and everyone is a suspect, except me. The first step was calming down Miss Ruby. Luckily, Mr. H.B. was a club kid who had a plethora of pills, drugs, poisons, and sedatives on him, which I found suspicious. Wadslow helped me move her to Victorina's study. Meanwhile, I supervised Dr. Babcock's examination of the body. Death by poison. Despite initial protests, the group agreed to wait in the lounge while I conducted my interrogations. Wadslow detained the rest, but I went back into the study. Miss Ruby was still sleeping, so I searched for clues. The desk was locked, but due to my intelligence, I knew where to find the spare key. Inductive reasoning uncovered the documentation of Victorina's network of blackmail, racketeering, and female-owned small businesses. I regretted losing contact with her. She seemed like a good time. I found logs of payments received from Dr. Babcock and Mr. H.B., no mention or reference for what. I found articles on and by Professor Aubergine documenting his downfall from an enterprising researcher to being accused of unethical experimentation. Definitely suspicious, but also relatable. Miss Ruby began to stir just as I discovered an unsigned will. Typical. Victorina had made some changes to her estate, and someone wanted her gone before it could be finalized. I took the will and tended to Miss Ruby. Miss Ruby, are you all right? I'm at a loss for words. Victorina is dead. Someone killed her. Someone who's still in this house. I'm frightened, Inspector Boneye. Get a hold of yourself, woman. Hysteria won't solve this murder any sooner. Now, tell me, who do you think killed Victorina? Inspector Boneye, you should know that Victorina was neither a full-fledged lesbo or monogamous. She's been sleeping with Dr. Babcock's husband, Dr. Babcock, and was extorting him with video. Did you see this video? No, she said it wasn't even funny. Ew. What about Mr. H.B.? Well, he's broke. He's a homosexual, and he refuses to work. He loves to do drugs and party, and he owes her money. But I don't think he's a killer. And Dr. Babcock is? You know as well as I that she was the only one who didn't drink their wine at dinner. Miss Ruby, did you know that Victorina had changed her will? Yes. She updated it to leave me everything, which I think I deserved it, but it meant cutting out Colonel Buster. Was the Colonel aware of that? Oh, yeah. And he was angry. I interviewed Colonel Buster next. Tension hung heavy in the air throughout my interrogation of Colonel Buster. He was a dom, straight alpha military type, muscular even at his mature age. Submitting to my effeminate interrogation authority was humiliating and degrading. It was getting him off. I stood over him and looked down at this pathetic pile of muscles and silver hair. You better not be lying to me, Colonel, because I know everything. You were about to get cut out of the will. Now, with the new will unsigned, you get everything. Why shouldn't I just lock you up, huh? Is that what you want? You want me to lock you up? Please, don't. Shut up. You don't have a choice in the matter, Colonel. Because you're the suspect, and I'm the inspector. What's my name?
Inspector Boneye, please believe me.
You're pathetic, Colonel. What a waste of a masculine specimen. I spat on him. What's your defense?
I'm being set up, Inspector.
Who'd set you up?
Probably Mrs. Milken, that slag. She's probably up to it with that Miss Ruby. That girl is a money-hungry right foul git. You know, her and Victorina were on the rocks. Fighting a lot. Terribly toxic couple.
What did they fight about?
Money. And of course, Victorina's affairs and dalliances. Not that Miss Ruby wasn't spreading it about too. Oh, but she has quite a temper. They've had the constables call on them at least twice in the past couple of months. Frankly, it doesn't even make sense why I'd get cut out for her. Now do me a favour and step on me balls, Inspector.
Next! Mrs. Milken came in while Wadslow escorted Colonel Buster back to the lounge, but I just wasn't sure who to interview next. Mrs. Milken, how would you describe Victorina and Miss Ruby's relationship? I could sense the hesitation in Mrs. Milken. Clearly, I needed to employ all of my honed skills of charisma and interrogation techniques to break her silence. Mrs. Milken, come on! Come on! Tell me! Come on! All right, dear boy, I'll tell you right and proper that them two was absolutely horrible for each other. Two nasty ends having a row day and night, right? Either fuming about, making everyone miserable like a couple of lunatics, or attacking each other and anyone who crosses them. And that Miss Ruby, she's vicious. Always has been. Interesting. And did you ever? My only regret is that whoever did this should have killed them both outright. Now we're going to have to be trapped here under Miss Ruby's thumb. So Mrs. Milken knew about the new will, but didn't know that it hadn't been signed. Better her than Colonel Buster, right? Well, love, I've always personally preferred serving a man, but that's also probably why I've got 10 children. Such a profound woman. Next, Wadslow brought in Mr. H.B. Faggots like you make me sick, G.H.B. We all like to party and play, okay? But all you do is party and play. But partying isn't free, is it? Well, I'm on to you, boy. You owed Victorina pounds. Quid. Euros. I'm talking money, Mr. H.B. Money you couldn't pay back. So you got rid of her, didn't you? That's bloody rubbish. That's bloody rubbish, I promise. I would never hurt her. She was me best mate. So you want to help her, right? You want to solve her murder, right? I'm so scared, Inspector Boneye. Get a hold of yourself, HB. Light up a fag, throw that rubbish in the bin, untwist your knickers, and think about wrapping your lips around a hot, milky cup of tea. A cup of tea? Yeah, a cup of tea. Half filled with milk and sugar the way you Brits like. That does sound lovely. All you have to do is tell me who killed Victorina. I think it was Dr. Babcock. She's insane. Driven mad by Victorina and Miss Ruby. Victorina slept with Dr. Babcock's husband, Dr. Babcock, while Miss Ruby recorded it. She told me she didn't see the video. Well, she lied. He had one of those adult baby fetishes where he likes to wear diapers and act like an infant. Well, then they started blackmailing Dr. Babcock, and then Dr. Babcock found out about it, and she went mental. I wouldn't be surprised if Dr. Babcock hadn't already murdered Dr. Babcock and had come here to finish the job with those two. Mr. H.B. started crying and curled up on me. I felt like a mother orangutan, so I didn't mind at first. But then I thought about the palm oil industry's effects on the natural habitats of orangutans, and it made me uncomfortable, so I had Wadslow carry him off. This encounter later inspired my now-defunct Twinks for Orangutans initiative that trained twinks to use assault rifles and utilize drug-fueled energy and concentration in mercenary missions targeting the palm oil industry, all the while studying how to maintain soft, hairless skin free from ingrown hairs and razor bumps. Anyway, Dr. Babcock entered the study with a demure nervousness. Since she was a doctor, I assumed she was also a sociopath, and that was just an attempt at manipulating me. Dear boy, I'm so distraught. That poor, strong female. Cut the shit, Doc. You think these people didn't tell me everything they knew about you? And you were the only one who didn't drink the wine. Why was that? My husband and I are teetotalers. It's a valid lifestyle. I just don't like to drink. The only reason I did earlier is because you're a movie star and I was worried about my loving husband. You think I don't know about your husband? Baby talk, baby talk. It's a wonder you can walk. Dr. Babcock's entire energy shifted. You certainly are a good investigator, dear boy. I did come here tonight with intentions of killing Victorina Winthrop and Miss Ruby. Incidentally, by poisoning them. She retrieved a lead pipe from her pocket. But I wasn't the one who killed Victorina. You see, I've been replacing their plumbing with lead pipes. After installing this piece tonight, I was finally going to give them a fatal dose. So the police would blame their deaths on contamination through lead pipes. What did I tell you? Sociopath. Her plan was contrived, but brilliant. Their deaths would be marked as accidents, and I would have freed my husband from their extortion. Suddenly, the lights went out again, and screams rang out from the lounge. I grabbed a gas lamp off the mantel and ran with Dr. Babcock toward the commotion. The lights turned back on as we arrived, only to be greeted by the gruesome sight of Mrs. Milken's body. Her skull had been cracked open with a blunt object. Nobody move! Gasps and panic filled the room as I searched for the bloody weapon, but I couldn't find it. Everyone except Dr. Babcock, Wadslode, and myself had been in this room. I hastened my search and discovered that one of the books on the shelf was in the wrong order. When I lifted it, a switch clicked and the bookshelf opened. A secret passage, Miss Ruby gasped. Victorina never told me about this.
Of course, Colonel Buster said. That passage leads to the conservatory.
I found a bloody candlestick discarded on the ground. I suppose this belongs there? I asked brilliantly. Everybody remained calm, because I know that the butler did it. Wadsworth pulled out a pistol, but Colonel Buster tackled them. Together, they meaning both they, them, and Colonel Buster, rolled around struggling for the gun. Then they, meaning just Wadslode, gained control. They then aimed the gun at the drunken old colonel. Professor Aubergine, my hero, grabbed a decorative rope from the curtains and wrapped it around Wadslode's neck. Immediately, they them dropped the pistol and struggled against the professor's powerful grip. I recovered the gun, and we restrained Wadslode. By morning, the storm had passed, and we were able to phone the authorities. Wadslode was formally arrested. Initially, Wadslode and Mrs. Milken had worked together to murder Victorina before she could leave the house to Miss Ruby. They could tell that the situation with Dr. Babcock and Dr. Babcock was going to reach a boiling point. That time was fleeting. I suppose they, meaning both Wadslode and Mrs. Milken, thought Colonel Buster would have been an easier, more familiar master. Maybe they had intentions of usurping the property from him afterward. Maybe they liked this video. Maybe they left a complimentary comment. And maybe they subscribed to the channel, as you should do. At the end of the day, Mrs. Milken ended up being nothing more than a loose end to be closed. But, unfortunately, at the end of the day, Mrs. Milken ended up being nothing more than a loose end in yet another closed Boneye case.